Oh, I should have got something to drink before I started. Oh my goodness, y'all come on in. Today has been bonkers. I sound like I'm from up north or something. But y'all, today has been cray, okay? Crazy. Really, okay? If you haven't been following the case, the Diddy case, I'm here to keep you up to date with that. What's up, Cooper? How are you? Yes, y'all, let's get into it, okay? This case was crazy today. The testimony was crazy today. Capricorn Clark was the only one that was on trial today, and she went in. What's up, Chris? Thank you guys for both joining here. I really appreciate it. Make sure when y'all come in, y'all subscribe to my YouTube channel and give me a thumbs up. I really would appreciate it. But let's get into it because today was wild, okay? The testimony from Capricorn Clark was just crazy. Plus, if y'all don't know, Cassie went into labor today. So around 1 o'clock, Cassie went into labor in a New York hospital. So she's probably done delivered or about to deliver her baby girl that they're expecting. I wish the baby well. I wish Cassie and what's her husband name? Alex well, but y'all, okay, Capricorn Clark. Now, I wasn't even expecting her to testify today because I didn't hear last week that she was going to testify Tuesday. So her testifying today was pretty much like a shock for me, pretty much. All right, Cooper. So y'all, oh my goodness, it got so juicy at the end. Y'all have to stay to the end. If you don't know what's going on, stay here to the end till I read through all this testimony. Oh my goodness, y'all. When they say like give your honest opinion, not opinion, I'm sorry. When they say speak the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God, they mean exactly that. And Capricorn definitely came with exactly that today. She did not disappoint, y'all. She did not, because Capricorn Clark, she came, gave her testimony. It wasn't cute. It wasn't pleasing to anyone in particular, especially not Cassie, but you could definitely tell that Capricorn Clark came and gave her true testimony today. It all sounds very true to me, and I definitely believe her. And there's a twist at the end of today's testimony, y'all, that I want to get into about 50 Cent and this guy, Chris Lighty, because I remember hearing 50 Cent talk about Chris Lighty, which I believe was his good friend who passed away. I remember hearing that story out of 50 Cent's mouth. So, y'all, we going to get into it all. What's up, Steven? Suzanne, what's up? What's up? Thank you so much for joining the chat. Your girl, Katie. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining the chat. Make sure you come in, subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit that thumbs up button. Y'all, let's get into it. Oh my goodness. Like when I say today's testimony was just next level, like this really started the week off real good for me, in my opinion. For Diddy, it's not looking good, you boy, okay? Because this right here seemed like this could probably come up in a whole nother case. All right, I'll get into that, how what I'm thinking here with the whole Chris Lighty thing, because like I said, I'm pretty sure 50 Cent will be going live saying a lot of stuff real soon if he hasn't already, because I haven't been able to check and see if 50 Cent had put something out here. But 50 Cent did an interview saying that something happened with his friend Chris Lighty. And Capricorn Clark is talking about having to work with Chris Lighty because she couldn't find work anywhere else. And then soon as she was about to start, Chris Lighty passed away and she was blacklisted and she had nowhere else to work but with Diddy. So she had to beg for a job. Y'all, let's get into it, okay? What's up, Crystal, Maureen? Sophia. Make sure you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel here if you're not already subscribed, and give me a thumbs up. Okay, let's get into it. The testimony is very long, but it's definitely not boring. All right, so this is the third week of the testimony. Okay. So, Capricorn Clark worked with Diddy between the years of 2004 up until 2012. And I believe sometime after that, she was coming in and out working with not directly up under Diddy, but with his companies or something. It really wasn't clear, but yeah, let's get into it. So Capricorn Clark is on trial. The government, of course, called her in as a witness. Um, they asked where she grew up. She said she was born in San Francisco. She moved to LA. She worked for Def Jam, then Death Row in the late 90s. She said the government asked, "What was your relationship to Suge Knight?" She said, "He is my friend's child's father." So who is Capricorn Clark's friend that had a baby by Suge Knight? Because I don't know who that is, y'all. That's a new one on me. That was a shocker. I didn't know that Capricorn Clark was friends with one of Suge Knight's baby mamas. That's probably how Suge Knight knew that Capricorn Clark had made a settlement with Diddy. Because remember, Suge Knight just told that information not too long ago. I believe that was this year. Suge Knight told that information, but that's probably where he got the information from his baby mama. But let's see here. So um he said the government then asked, "Then you work for Diddy?" She said yes. He's in the blue sweater, acknowledging that Diddy was in the courtroom there. She said, "I worked with him from 2004 to 2012. They asked, "Were you kidnapped?" She said, "Yes." "When did you first meet Diddy?" She said, "When I moved to New York City in 2002, we were platonic friends. A headhunter said I should work with him as a PA, a personal assistant. I did until 2006. The government asked, "What were your duties?" She said, "To shadow him from wake up to head of women's for Sean John." So she said she was to shadow him all day, pretty much stay with him all day, and even at night when he worked in the his studio at Diddy's house. And she also worked for the women's portion of Sean John clothing line. Let's see here. She said she did that for a year. Then she became the global brand director to grow the brand. Then she said she was terminated from the job in 2016 because of Cassie. So I told y'all she went back and forth. Diddy terminated her position. Then she was able to come back again. And then she was terminated again. Okay. So let's see here. The government asks, "Did you work in the building?" She says, "Yes, we moved there in 2005." So I guess they show her a picture of a building in New York City, probably. And she said, yes, she worked there. The government asked, "Your first day, where did Diddy take you?" She said, "To Central Park after dark with Uncle Polly. He looked like a linebacker," talking about Uncle Polly. Now I don't know who Uncle Polly is. What's up, William Diaz? It's Boo Boo. I like that. It's Boo Boo. Make sure you guys come in and subscribe and hit that like button, okay? She said he wore blackout shades all the time, talking about Uncle Polly, whoever that is. The government asked, "What did Diddy tell you in the park?" She said that since I worked with Suge Knight, he said he might have to delete her. And then the defense said, "Objection, objection." The judge said, "Overrule and proceed." The government asked, "How did you take it?" She said, "Serious. I took it serious." How did you react? She said, I don't have anything to do with that stuff." The government came back saying, "Objection." The judge said, "Sustained." The government asked, "What was Polly's role?" Uncle Polly. She said all aspects of his movement, to keep Diddy safe, There was also D Rock, Roger Bonds, and Ruben. Who's D Rock? The government asked. She said a good friend of Biggie Smalls. Yeah, right. I beg to differ with that, but I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna leave that one alone until I get something that adds up. Okay. She said. She said D Rock was like a running back type. Um, did you ever observe Diddy with the pow pow? Y'all know what that means. She says, yes, at my house. And did he talk about it? She said, Diddy told Chris Lighty he had a problem with 50 Cent. So, y'all, Diddy and Chris Lighty, they had some type of bond. I'm not sure what type of bond they had, but I'm telling y'all, please go look this up. It's on YouTube. It has to be on YouTube. 50 Cent did an interview and he said how he believed that Chris Lighty was taken out by someone. And he said that Chris Lighty got married to a woman who he believed Diddy slept with. I believe that's what he said, allegedly. I can't, because this was when I saw this interview, that was last year sometime. But 50 Cent said that Chris Lighty was like his best friend. Okay. He got married. He said he was there. He even said Diddy was there at the wedding, and he didn't understand why Diddy was there because he didn't trust Diddy. And he said the next thing he know, Chris Lighty passed away. Now I can't remember how Chris Lighty passed away, but I'm gonna have to do my investigation on that. But I wanted to get through this trial right here because it gets real deep. So Capricorn Clark, y'all, she said that the first time she saw Diddy with a pow pow was at her house. Okay. Let's see here. The government asked, were you accused of stealing? She said, yes, jury. It was given to me. It was a loan. It went missing. She's And the government said it went missing. She says, yes. What did you do? She said, from Taterboro, I called 1440 and told them to lock it down. Meaning that she told, once the jury came up missing, she told somebody to lock wherever they was at down so that, no one could leave with the jury. What did Uncle Polly do? She said, he questioned me for 3 hours. You went home? She says, yes, to Queens with Uncle Polly. He searched my house. The government asked, where did Uncle Polly take you? She said, to 1710 Broadway. It was dilapidated, but it was being fixed up. But I didn't know that at the time. So Uncle Polly, which works for P. Diddy because he's like one of his security, he took Capricorn Clark. I believe he took her there mainly to scare her because they probably stole that doggone jury. The jury was borrowed. It was a loaner from Jacob the jeweler. And I believe Diddy had just came back from like somewhere. I don't know. He had an event. They borrowed jury from Jacob the jeweler. All of a sudden the jury came up missing, y'all. So Capricorn Clark says she definitely didn't take the jury, and she even took a lie detector test. So Uncle Polly they probably told Jacob the jeweler that they believe Capricorn Clark took it, and they're going to question her and get the details because they put her through it, y'all. Can y'all imagine being held against your will? We're going to get into it because I ain't even get into details. So Uncle Polly took her to the Broadway location, which was in the process of being fixed up, but she didn't know that at the time. So it just looked like an abandoned building where she could just get murked and, come up missing and no one would ever know, what happened to her. But she said he took her on the sixth floor. The door was locked behind them. There was a 6-foot folding table, a heavy setup. A heavy set man was there. She described he was the size of 5 of her. She said, 2 linebackers. He was chain smoking cigarettes, so he probably was nervous himself if he just smoking cigarettes back to back to back because Diddy probably told him take that girl there and delete her if you have to. And he probably was nervous about, how they were going to get everything done. I don't know why he was chain smoking. There are a lot of people who just chain smoke. So I don't know. The government asks, did Polly stay? She said no, intermittently. He came back and forth. So he would stay for a little bit, leave, stay, leave. What did the heavyset man say? She said, I was there to take a lie detector test. What did he say if it showed you failed? She said he said they would throw me in the East River. And then the defense said objection. Of course they said objection because they probably want to try to make it seem like, oh, he didn't really mean that. This was just to find out who stole the jury. But you guys, come on now. We're talking about Diddy. A lot of people have come up, deleted that has been associated with Diddy. A lot of people. Matter of fact, if y'all watch memes, make it make sense here on YouTube, he did a video just stating the amount of people who worked around Diddy and came up missing. And I believe it was like over like 10 or 12 people, like more than that, who came up missing during the time they worked with Diddy, y'all. So people were on a regular basis coming up missing around Diddy or conveniently getting sick. Here go my nose. Conveniently getting sick and passing away. Okay, that was a normal thing. And it has been a normal thing when people get around Diddy for some reason. All right, let's get into it. So the defense asked for a sidebar. So they went for a sidebar. They came back. The government asked, what was his demeanor? She said, very serious. I was terrified. Did you want to take the test? She says, no, I was afraid. How was the test? She said, wires were all on me, asking me, did I steal? Did he tell you the results? She said, he said to calm down, that he couldn't get a reading and he would have to throw me in the East River. So the government asked, did anyone else in the building? Was anyone else in the building when he said that? She said, no. Paulie said he couldn't leave. What did Paulie say at the end? That he would have to come back the next day to figure this out. So they had kept her there for 3 hours. Now, I don't know if this was in the daytime or nighttime, and that does matter because that could really make someone paranoid when they're being held against their will and taken to an abandoned building and being threatened to be deleted and thrown into the East River. And Capricorn Clark has a son. I didn't even know Capricorn Clark had a child. Didn't even know that until today. So anyway, so we started again another test in the same location all day. She said, the government asked, were you free to leave? She says, no. How long did this go on? She said this went on for 5 days, y'all. She was held against her will for 5 days to take a polygraph over and over and over to see if she would pass, y'all. This is criminal activity. Right here, right in your face. If you want to know what this case is about, it is about criminal activity, okay? This is not how you handle business. If you feel like someone stole something from you, you would call the police and then get them arrested. And then you can take them to court. Okay? You can file a claim, take them to court, and then, find out for sure what happened. Hold on. My hair all caught up in my fingernail. Okay, I see some deletion going on. I hope everything's okay. I don't know, but make sure you guys come on in, hit that subscribe button for your girl. I really would appreciate it. And give me a thumbs up, all right? I'm going over the Diddy trial today. Capricorn Clark was on the witness stand today. I feel like she did great. It seemed like she gave her honest opinion. It wasn't pretty at all. If you keep listening, you will see that it gets weird. It gets very strange today. You feel delulu after this, Christian? Oh, what's up, Christian? How you doing today? It's gonna get better, okay? Let's get into it. Let's see here. So they held her there for 5 days. This is definitely giving criminal activity. Like I said, did you tell anyone where you were? She says, no, I was trying to survive. I worked under an NDA. So she did have to sign an NDA, just like Suge Knight said. He said that he did an interview while since he's been locked up. What's up, William Diaz? What you say, Cooper? Don't you better not do it? You better not do it. I'm telling you, you better not do it. What is Cooper doing? Okay, no cursing, y'all. Okay. All right, no cursing. Be respectful. Please come in the room and be respectful. If not, then I ain't got no control of what my mods do, okay? If you're coming in and acting crazy, they gonna do what they do because that's what mods do, okay? So, anyway, so the defense said objection. The judge said disregard the last statement. What would you be doing? Shadowing Diddy. What happened after those 5 days? She said, I went back to work. I saw Diddy the next week. The government asked, did Diddy ever talk to you about it? She says, no. So they act like nothing happened. Like this was just they act like nothing happened, y'all, when she went back to work. That's why I said they probably stole the jury and probably tried to make it seem like, oh, we got somebody we're questioning now to see what's going on. But why did you continue to work there? She says, if I left, they think I stole the jury. What were your days like? She said from his 74th townhome, she would work there. And then in the park, she said the park in the morning. She would go to the park. She would work at his townhome. Then she would work by the park somewhere at a location. Then she said to Diddy's house studio at night. How much sleep did you get? She said on a good day, she got 4 hours worth of sleep, y'all. She said on a bad day, she would get 2 hours worth of sleep. Can you imagine working yourself that much? I can't even imagine that. She said she was paid $65,000 a year. Did you ever get paid overtime? She says, no. I spoke with the head of HR. She said I was owed $80,000. How did Diddy respond? She said when she told Diddy that she was owed the overtime pay, he tore up the paper. What's up, Albert GT? Hello. Thank you for joining the chat. I appreciate it. So again, I'm going over the Diddy case. Capricorn Clark was on the stand today. So she said when she told Diddy she needed to get paid her overtime. Now that's another thing, okay? Holding employees against their will, not paying them what they're owed. That's all part of the government's claim for Diddy. That's that illegal activity, holding people hostage. That's part of that racketeering. Having employees to do a whole bunch of illegal activity, like hold someone against their will in an abandoned building. Okay, this is all proving their point right here, proving the government's case, and you can't deny that. You can't. Let's see here. Will he stay at a hotel? She says yes. With who? She said Kim Porter once a week. What names would he book the hotel under? She said Frank Black, then Frank White, and the girlfriends. They would say Jackie Starr. Where did he stay? The Intercontinental and Buckhead and ATL, Beverly Hills Hotel in LA. What was his what was in his bags? They asked what was in his bags. And she said a camera, baby oil, Astroglide, cameras every time. What would you do? What would you be doing? She said, I'll be in another room, watching TV, ordering room service, keeping up on her sleep, trying to get some sleep in. Then she would have to clean up the room afterwards. So this is another assistant that would have to clean up Diddy's mess after he had those freak offs. So she, Capricorn Clark, admitted that Diddy had freak offs with Kim Porter as well. Okay, and she said baby oil. So remember, I forgot who that was last week. I believe it was the personal assistant that said that they would have to clean up after the freak offs. And they said when Diddy would be with Kim, he would just use lotion. Well, it looks like Capricorn Clark is saying that baby oil was used as well. That's a big point because the defense was trying to make it seem like Cassie was the only one that Diddy would have freak offs with, but it looks like Diddy probably was having freak offs with Kim as well because Capricorn Clark said that Diddy would meet with Kim once a week and she would have to clean the room up and it would have a whole bunch of baby oil still in the room. So you already know what time it is with baby oil and Astroglide and cameras. Okay. Let's see here. She said she would have to clean up any of the damages left behind, like the baby oil. The government asked how frequently would he stay at the hotel with Cassie in 2008. She said like once a week at the Le Hermitage, the London, and then the Intercontinental Hotel for about several days. And then they would have IV drips. Did he speak to you about the relationship with Cassie? She said yes. Miss London, and I believe she was trying to say Lauren London, was there. So Lauren London was at one of the hotels with them. Now remember, Cassie did testify and said that they had freak offs with a girl like 2 or 3 times. And I wonder if that was with Lauren London. But Capricorn Clark did testify today that at the hotels, they would have separate rooms. So, like, Diddy would go to a hotel and he'll have multiple rooms at that hotel. And she said she was there in one of the rooms, and Chef Jordan had another room. Now, I don't know why the chef had to have a room at the hotel. That's weird. I thought about that when she said the chef was there. She had a room. Chef Jordan had a room at the hotels. Why would the chef need to have a room at the hotel if you ordering food service and stuff? Like, I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me. Um, what did he say? She said Diddy would say, "You bitches won't do that. That's why you don't have a man." So Capricorn Clark testified that Diddy would parade Cassie around. He would have Cassie spinning around in a circle in front of her and Chef Jordan. I guess trying to make them feel jealous and stuff, and he would say, "See, this the reason right here why y'all ain't got no man, because y'all won't do the stuff that Cassie will do." And Capricorn Clark said she told him, "You sure right, I won't." Did you observe Diddy obtaining rugs with the D? She said yes, he had a girlfriend in New York and in LA. And then from one stop, he would get Molly X, he would get it delivered to either her or a puff. And he said, did the government ask, did he ask you to get the rugs for him? She says, yes, the ex. The government asked, and in South France, he asked me to get the cocoa. So not only was Diddy purchasing rugs here in the States, he was also going out the country getting rugs also with the D. Okay. Um, let's see here. Capricorn Clark stated on the stand today that her mother passed away from, I guess, like a rug overdose. And she said she didn't want to get the cocoa for Diddy because of her mom passing away from her, whatever she was doing, having an addiction or whatever. And she said Diddy told her it wasn't for him or her. So it made me feel like Diddy probably made people or his employees do rugs also, probably just to make him feel, safe and secure. Let's see here. Capricorn Clark told the jury that she developed alopecia because she was so stressed and overworked that she was losing her hair. Her hair was falling out. They come back from a sidebar, and then the government is still questioning. They ask, who did Diddy say the rugs were for? She said it was for him. Did you um did you go through the Spanish security guard? She says yes. He also got prescription rugs in her name as well as in Diddy's name. So Diddy would get prescription rugs in Capricorn Clark's name and in his name. Now that's illegal. Okay? Definitely illegal. And the doctor who's writing these prescriptions should be on trial. Don't y'all think? Because this doctor, I don't know if it's the same doctor or what, but everyone who has testified so far, everyone who has testified that has worked for Diddy has testified that the doctor would write these prescriptions in their name as well as Diddy's name. So I wonder where this doctor is and if he's going to be testifying, because he don't need immunity. He need to be locked up. What's up, Tommy McDaniel? What is he talking about? All right. Make sure you guys come on in, hit that subscribe button and the like button for your girl here. Okay. Let's see here. They were in Capricorn Clark said the rugs, all the rugs were in Diddy's toiletry bag. She said she'll carry it or the security would carry it sometimes. What about the bulk cash? She said yes, one time 100,000 euro dollars when they came back from Europe. Where did he get it? She said from club bookings when he went to Europe. He'd keep it, then give it to the security. Then the security would lock it in his personal safe in his hotel room. Violence, fighting. She said, yes, fighting. Was he violent to you? She says, yes, at his Star Island home. He told me I was not to leave the house. Pharrell Williams was brought in by boat. So she said Pharrell Williams came in by boat. And I'm not sure why she name dropped his name, because that was all I heard about Pharrell. But I wonder if he was witness to anything in particular. But she said he came in by boat. I wonder where he came from. Um, she said, I returned Mr. Walker to Palm Island. I don't know who Mr. Walker is. They didn't go into detail about that. She said he called and said, where the F are you? You you can't have a life. So he told Diddy pretty much control her. He wouldn't let her sleep. She had to work most hours during the day without sleep. Um, even control what she ate. Listen here. Now she with him all day, all night. So one time she asked the chef, Jordan, for turkey bacon. And she said, you're not getting turkey bacon. Like she talking to a kid or something. I said, I hate it here. She told the chef, and the chef told Diddy. And then Diddy came and charged at her. He came and said, oh, you don't like it here? And he pushed her on her shoulder, like with his body, like real hard. She said he would do that often. What did he say? She said, he said, if you hate it here, get the F out of here. Did you leave your employment? She said, I did. But you returned? She said, as the global brand director. So she did. She said she did leave there, but when she came back, her it's like he promoted her to come back, probably because he knew he was wrong. And remember, Diddy did testify that with one of the personal assistants, the guy who got the YouTube channel. Remember, he said that Diddy, when that guy, that personal assistant, when he disrespected Chef Jordan, and post Chef Jordan, she just keep getting disrespected by so many people. But he said when he disrespected her and he put his hands on her wrist and shook her, he said Diddy told him to just give her a gift. So, did he do something like that? He'll give you a reason to quit, a good reason to quit, then be upset that you quit, and to get you to come back and work with him, he'll promote you or give you some type of promotion or something. So he was good for doing that. So he promoted her to brand global, okay, global brand director. So she went from being the assistant. First, she went to being the intern. So she worked as an intern for, I believe, a year or two and didn't work. I'm not quite sure on that. So that's alleged, okay? But I do know she worked, Capricorn Clark worked with Diddy for a little bit before she started getting paid. And then she was a personal assistant. And then she was turned into the brand manager or brand director, global brand director. Okay. Why? Diddy was impressed by what I did in the job before I left. He said I wouldn't have worked for him directly. What were you doing for Cassie? She said she was managing Cassie's image. She maximized the optics for her and Diddy. He had to make the final approvals on everything. In LA, where Diddy in LA, where did you live? She said in the gated community. We followed Kim Porter there. Now, y'all, that got deep. She said we followed Kim Porter there. Sounds like some other illegal activity that the government or the defense didn't want to get into. But we do know that Capricorn Clark's, I believe she had an apartment. Her apartment, Diddy was paying for that. Also, I believe Diddy was paying for her car and he was paying for her cell phones as well. Because think about it, this guy is like a narcissist to the 10th power, right? So he want to make sure he had control over all his employees at all times, including Cassie, because Cassie was an employee. Okay? So, yeah. So he wanted to follow Kim Porter, so he went and got an apartment in the same neighborhood and put Capricorn Clark there. So it seemed like Capricorn Clark was also a little watchdog as well. Let's see here. Where was Cassie? She said in New York City on the West End. She would come to LA and stay with either Diddy or with me or in a hotel. So it seemed like Cassie didn't really have a house, at least for a certain time period in LA. Now, I don't know if you remember, but Cassie's mom did testify and say that Cassie was in New York City. And then she left New York City and moved to LA. So Capricorn Clark is saying that once Cassie came to LA, she stayed with her in the house that Diddy paid for, or the apartment that Diddy paid for, or she stayed with Diddy, or she's lived in hotels. So it sounded like Cassie didn't really have a permanent residence, at least for a while. So then the government moves into asking about Kid Cudi. So this one it gets deep and almost dark. Okay, y'all, so pay attention. So Kid Cudi, how did you learn that she brought him? How did you learn about Kid Cudi? The government asked. Capricorn Clark said she brought him to my apartment. What did she say? She texted me they were going to this public place in LA. I told her it was a bad idea and to delete the text messages because, oh, let's get into it. Why? Diddy paid for my phone and hers. I took Cassie to Best Buy, y'all, to get her a burner phone after that happened. He took Cassie to a hotel in Cipriani in December 22, 2011. I believe this is Diddy. Oh no. This is Kid Cudi took Cassie to a hotel. So remember, Kid Cudi testified that he took Cassie to a hotel to protect her, to like keep her safe, because Cassie ain't even have a home. She didn't even have a place to stay. She was staying with Capricorn Clark, which I'm sure Capricorn Clark's home wasn't really her home because Diddy was paying for it. So he could put her out at any time also. But Capricorn Clark had a son. So not only would he be putting her out, he'll be putting her son out as well. And the government or the defense didn't really get into that. But I thought that was something that they should have talked about a little bit more. But let's see here. So let's see here. There was banging at the door. What did you see out the peephole? She said a furious Diddy walking back and forth. The defense said objection, objection. Ask another question, the judge said. What was his movement? She said pacing back and forth with something in his hand. Did you open the door? She said, yes, I did. What was he wearing? She said a button down sweater, torn pants, holding a pow pow. She said his pants was torn. She said his pants was torn from like the inseam from his knee up to his private area, to like the his private part, like where the zipper would be at. So I don't know if maybe he got caught on something like and tore his pants, but it don't sound. At first I thought she was trying to just say that Diddy had on like the torn pants that most people wear, that's stylish, but it don't seem like she was trying to say that, because the way she talked about the pants being torn up, they were ripped from all the way up from his knee up to his where the where you would close the pants up at. So that was real weird. I don't know what that was about, but they didn't go into details about it. But let's see here. She said he came in the apartment and said, "Why didn't you tell me?" And he asked, "Who was Miss Scuddy?" I said, "I don't know." He said, I'm going to delete that N word." The government asked, "Where was the pow pow?" She said it was in his hand. I said I didn't want to go. He said, "I don't give a F. Get dressed." What concerns did you have? She said he never came to my house. Did you try to escape? She said, "No, I got dressed." Who joined in? She said Ruben was there. He was driving the black Escalade executive class. Where was Ruben? She said, the driver's seat. I got in the back seat on the passenger side. Diddy was on the left side behind the driver, next to me. Usually he would sit in the front seat. He had a pow pow on his lap. How long will it take to drive from your house to Kid Cudi's house in Hollywood Hills? She said if you pushed it, about 15 to 20 minutes. What did Diddy and Ruben do once they got to Kid Cudi house? She said they went in and I could see. They asked, were you able to see in? She says, yes. What did you do? She said, I called Cassie on the burner phone and I said, Cassie, where are you? I'm at Kid Cudi's house. She said, I heard Kid Cudi in the background say, you at my house? They in my house? Then I changed the contact info to Stormy, my best friend. So I guess Capricorn Clark knew. See, it seemed like Capricorn Clark was a little smart. Just a tad bit. Just a tad bit smart. Because first of all, Cassie gonna meet Diddy introduced Cassie follow this, y'all, because I heard somebody say today when I was looking into what was going on in the courtroom. I heard somebody say that, and my nose always itch when I get online, so I apologize for that. But I heard somebody say that, um, what was I going with that? About Kid Cudi. I don't know. I'm gonna get back to it. I'm sorry, I just missed my train of thought. So Capricorn Clark, like I said, she had a little bit of sense. Okay, she was the one who told Cassie, "All right, so you're not messing with Diddy. You're gonna mess with someone else. Get a burner phone. Diddy paying for your phone bill. So why would you be using his phone that he paid for to talk to another guy? Do that make sense?" So she took Cassie to Best Buy to get a burner phone so that Diddy couldn't trace the conversations, because you can look up all the text messages through your carrier, your internet, your whoever your mobile carrier is. Most carriers will have the, what do you call it? They have a copy of all your text messages. So nothing is deleted. It's only deleted in your phone, so you can't see it. But the company, the mobile carrier, they can give you a printout of your text messages. So Cassie wasn't even smart enough to think, let me not use this phone to talk to Kid Cudi, even though Diddy introduced me to Kid Cudi in 2010. So what happened was Diddy was trying to just make himself look good, I believe, in my opinion, right there. So he introduced Cassie to Kid Cudi to, I guess, try to make her feel like, okay, I'm gonna help you work on your album for real, right? But he didn't. Cassie and Kid Cudi didn't do anything. They never did work together. So he just introduced them to. So I heard someone today say that Kid Cudi was on Diddy's payroll, and that wasn't true because they never did work together. They were at an event, and Diddy told Kid he introduced Diddy introduced Kid Cudi to Cassie. That's how they met. Somehow numbers got exchanged. I guess I don't know what happened after that. How Cassie ended up meeting or getting in touch with Kid Cudi after that. But I do know the first time she met Kid Cudi was when Diddy introduced them to. So that's what happened there. Kid Cudi was not on Diddy's payroll. If you hear anybody saying that, they're definitely wrong. And it is a lot of misinformation going on. That's why I like to follow the notes from the people on the inside. Shout out to Inner City Press, who's giving all the details, okay? I mean, he's telling it all pretty much word from word. I mean, you can get the what is it called? The the transcript. You can get the court transcript. But he's pretty much writing it soon as they say it online. So that's where I'm getting all my information from, by the way. Let's see here. So Capricorn Clark, she changed the name in the phone after she talked to Cassie because she probably knew Diddy was gonna check her phone. So Diddy went to um Capricorn Clark's house, which is where Cassie would stay. So he went there, and mind you, he's paying the bill for Capricorn Clark to stay there at that apartment. So he went there because he couldn't get in touch with Cassie. So he know Capricorn Clark is close with her. So he just went over there, made her feel threatened. You know, he threatened her. He show up at her house, and her security guard let Diddy in, which he shouldn't have did. But she said later on, you'll hear her testify and say that that security guard got fired. So I don't know how the security guard got fired, but he wasn't supposed to let Diddy in, and he did. But he probably accepted some money or something, because you can pretty much do anything as long as you got some dollars, right? But anyway, so Capricorn Clark, she called Cassie, once Diddy and Ruben went into Kid Cudi's house, and Kid Cudi testified, y'all. I don't know if you remember, but Kid Cudi testified that he left his door unlocked. Now, I'm not sure what the reason for him leaving his door unlocked, but he said he often left his door unlocked. So I did hear somebody also saying that, well, how he broke into the house and it was no forced entry. Because Kid Cudi testified and said last week that he usually would leave his door unlocked. Like that was a regular thing for him. And to be honest, if he's in a nice neighborhood, why would he need to leave his door locked all the time? Okay. But, I get it. Still shouldn't leave your door unlocked, but people definitely do it. Even people who don't have money, they'll leave their door unlocked. Now, I don't do that, but I do know people who will do that or who has done that before, left their door unlocked. But especially younger people too. Now, I don't know how young Kid Cudi was at the time, but whatever. Let's get back into it. So Diddy came back in the car and took her phone and called the last number that she called, because he probably saw her on the phone. Then she said she saw Kid Cudi like pulling up. And then Diddy saw it in her face that must have been Kid Cudi. So he must have didn't know what type of car Kid Cudi had. But Capricorn Clark did testify and say that Cassie invited Kid Cudi to Capricorn's apartment. So I guess she already knew what type of car he had. Plus, when she called Cassie, she heard Cudi in the background saying, "He in my house." So of course you can almost imagine the next step would be, "Let me go home." So when Capricorn Clark said she saw Kid Cudi coming down the road, then Diddy said, that N word go right there." And she said the police were coming in the other direction, so they left. So it gets real tricky. So pay attention, y'all. I'm going to read that one more time. So this is the defense asking Capricorn Clark about what happened that day, right? So Capricorn Clark said that Diddy jumped in the car. He took her phone. He called the last number back that Capricorn had called. Then Capricorn saw Kid Cudi driving up to the house. Diddy saw her face and said, "That's that N word." And then they saw the police coming in the other direction. And then they left. She said Diddy was pulling himself together just in case they got stopped by the police, I assume. She said, "We stopped at the Key Club and he told me to call Cassie. He told me to call Cassie and say he wouldn't let me go. Cassie said calmly, 'Well, then come get me.'" So I guess pretty much Diddy was trying to get Cassie to let him know where she was at, because Diddy said, "Oh, I'm holding Capricorn Clark hostage, so let me know where she at or I'm hurt her." This sounds like a movie, y'all. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if a movie comes out that's somewhere similar to this trial right here, because I mean it is good. Like I will go watch this movie. Like, okay, so Ruben drove to her house, to Capricorn Clark's house. What did Diddy tell you? She said to convince Cudi not to say that it was him at her house. So Diddy told Capricorn Clark to talk to Kid Cudi and convince him to convince Kid Cudi that he wasn't in his house. So he don't know what she said on the phone. He just know that she made a phone call because he called the last number that she had called back, but he don't know what she had said. She said they went and picked up Cassie. Where did you go? She said we went to Cudi's to convince him not to file a police report. So when the government asked her all these questions, it was real like they were leaving a lot out. So when the defense came and they asked the questions, it kind of cleared up a lot of stuff. So it don't make sense right now, but you have to listen to the full testimony to get everything. And then the government and the defense would go back and forth. They would ask her questions about like the beginning of when she worked with Diddy, then they would shoot to like the end when she got fired. Like they would just go back and forth. So when you're hearing testimony, you have to be real focused on what's going on at the time, like present time, because they'll go back and forth and you'll get real confused. And I believe sometimes they give testimony like that so that you can be confused. But at the same time, you just got to pay attention. Just pay attention, y'all, because it is back and forth, and I was real confused. Seemed like the government left out a lot of details. Like I was wondering why they not asking more about, how this all came about. How did y'all? How did they go pick up Cassie? Go back to the Kid Cudi's house. It was just too much back and forth, but it'll make sense in a little bit, y'all. Let's see here. Okay. So what did you tell them? That Diddy said he would hurt us. So they told Kid Cudi that Diddy said he would hurt Capricorn Clark and Cassie, to try to stop him from filing a police report. Thankfully, that did not work with Kid Cudi. He still filed the police report. Thankfully, Kid Cudi was like, nah, y'all ain't gonna pull me into this madness right here. What was Kid Cudi's reaction? It was mind blowing. Objection, the defense said. The judge said jury would disregard that last part. What happened at the house? He was kicking Cassie again and again. How was she? In the fetal position. He kicked her all over her body. He kicked on her backside. She was crying at this time when she was telling this part, y'all. Where were you? She said 5 feet away. So was Ruben. What did he say to you? What if I jump in? He would beat me too. What did Ruben do? So, Ruben told Capricorn Clark that if she jumped in, that he would beat her too. So, pretty much that's that criminal activity, okay? Now Ruben is being paid. He is a big guy. Remember, Capricorn said that he's big, like 3 linebackers. Like he's 5 of her, she said. So he would have been way bigger than Diddy. He definitely would have been able to stop Diddy from beating Cassie, but he didn't. So it's not the domestic violence that's the problem here, but it is that the problem is that Diddy had an employee working for him and holding Capricorn Clark hostage because she couldn't go nowhere. She had to stay right there and watch Cassie be beaten. And it's the illegal activity that Ruben, the security guard, is standing there watching Diddy beat Cassie like that because this is a criminal offense. And him being a security guard, he's standing there just watching Diddy beat this woman, this little tiny woman at that. Let's see here. She said he kicked her all the way to the street. She was crying silently. Where was he kicking her? All over her back and her backside. Cause she was balled up in the fetal position. Where were you? She said she was 5 feet away along with Ruben. He told her he'll beat her if she jumped in. What did Ruben do? She said nothing. Who did you call? She said she called D-Rock. I told him to tell his brother to stop Puff. He is kicking the out of Cassie. I called Polly too. Uncle Polly, that is. She said, I thought he would take care of it. Ruben did nothing. What next? The government asked. Diddy told me to get the F out if I and so she left on foot. So I guess they were at Diddy house and Diddy told Capricorn Clark to get the F out, and so she had to walk. She said I could still see him kicking her until I went around the corner. Then who did you call? She said she called Cassie's mom and said Diddy was kicking the shit out of her daughter. She said, I can't call the police, but you can. The government asked, why didn't you call the police? She said the mission of the day was to get Cuddy, so I couldn't call the police. So, when she said the mission of the day was to get Kid Cudi, y'all, it sounds real cult-ish. Like, I'm a part of this cult. I got to do what this man say. And if I don't, then he's going to beat me or he's going to fire me. But it sounds real crazy, y'all. What's up, Chess of Days? What's up, Chess of Days? You just subscribed to my channel. Thank you so much for doing that. So you already know I'm going over the Diddy trial today. Capricorn Clark was on trial today testifying. And I'm just going over this heartbreaking testimony here. So you're going to understand more why Capricorn Clark really felt like she had to stay with Diddy, y'all. Just listen. So, so I couldn't call the police. So, the government asked, this email, who is it from? She said, Cassie. She wrote that he would be releasing X tapes about me and him and he would hurt someone, meaning Cassie and Cuddy. Do you recall it if you responded? She says, no, I don't recall if I responded. Did the law enforcement call you? She says, yes, the arson investigators for Kid Cudi, because Kid Cudi gave them my name and number. I hung up on them. I just wanted this to be over with. What did Diddy say to you? He said I should delete both of you and cut your face. How many times did he threaten you? She said over 50 times. D-Rock was there doubling down whenever Puff would say something in that moment. So D-Rock was there, and every time Puff would say something like, I should delete you, then here go D-Rock, he should delete you. You know, boy, I tell you, boy. He's some punk bees, okay? Some punk men, okay? Then the government asks, who is Harv Pierre? She said, the president of Bad Boy. I told him Puff had kidnapped me. He said, that's crazy, but it's going to be okay. I got a termination notice next. I was accused of not properly putting in my vacation that I was on. So at the time, Capricorn Clark was on vacation. And once all this happened, she called the president of Bad Boy, which because she worked for this company, right? What this sound like, y'all? Illegal activity. She called the president of the company. She told him what was going on. He said he would check on it. And then they fired her and said it was because she didn't take her vacation time properly. Had you put it in for your vacation time? She says, yes, I did properly. To Harv Pierre. Now she reported it to the president and he covered it up for Diddy, of course. Did you lose benefits? She says, yes, I lost all of them. She says health insurance, her 401k. She says she lost her house, her car. What did Diddy say? She said that I would never work again, that he would make sure that she delete herself, y'all. Oh, when she said that, I was just like, OMG, y'all. Because listen, Capricorn, come to find out, Capricorn Clark has a son, and her son is autistic, y'all. So here she goes. She's working for this company. She's giving it all she's got. She's getting paid a good bit amount of money, most, especially back then, to be getting paid $65,000 back then, around what, 2011, 12, or hell, before then, because she started with him from 2004, I believe. Yeah, from 2004 to 2012. And then, of course, this is when this happened and she got fired. This is around 2012. But she has a son. He's autistic. Okay. She has her places in Diddy's name. So where does she have to go? Okay. Can put this together in your head? She gets fired. Now she done did her job. She's on vacation right now. Okay. She done took vacation time. So she's on a break, supposed to be. Then she go through all this mess following up with Cassie, trying to help Cassie out. And Diddy got her all involved in it, Diddy and Cassie. Now she gets fired and she has nowhere to go. She loses, excuse me, she loses her house, her car, okay, her 401k, all right, her health insurance. Now, mind you, she got a sick child who's autistic. So can you imagine what's going on in her head? Then on top of that, Diddy told her that he would make her delete herself, y'all. That's dirty, okay? Dirty. This woman ain't did nothing but work, did her job. And now she a part of their whole mess. And he's up here telling her that he would make her delete herself, y'all. Whew. And what did she do? Like, it wasn't even because of her. Cassie was the one who chose to be with Kid Cudi, which was stupid, because you're going to put somebody else involved in this mess just to try to get back at Diddy. Boy, I tell you, like, that was hard. That was hard to hear. It really was. Let's see here. What did Diddy say? That I would never work again. That he would make sure I delete myself. Did you get another job offer? She says yes, but it fell through. I couldn't get a job. Did you settle with Diddy? She said in October 2012. So mind you, this all happened December 2011 with Kid Cudi and Cassie. Excuse me. So then after that happened, Capricorn Clark was on vacation. So she calls the president, tell him what's going on. He says, don't worry about it. They fire her. Then she, I guess, kept calling them, Diddy or, Harpierre, whoever. And then in October 2012, she received some type of settlement from them. But the defense said objection, so they didn't want to get into the settlement. And then they had a sidebar with the judge. So then they come back, and of course, Capricorn Clark's on the stand. She's crying still at this point. They come back from the sidebar. The government continues asking questions. So the government said, aside from that settlement that settlement agreement that that you had that you have, do you have any other pending litigations? She says no. Did you go back to work with him? She says yes, in 2016. No one would hire me. Cassie had a new record deal with Epic. Who did you have to get approvals from? She said Diddy. Cassie started taking more rugs, and Cassie started taking more rugs. Was she still dating Diddy? She says yes. In December 2023, why did you obtain an attorney? So in December 2023, remember in November 2023, or was it October or November? Cassie had filed the lawsuit against Diddy in 2023. But Capricorn Clark obtained an attorney in December of 2023. She said when she heard what Cassie was going through, it brought back up her trauma. And she said she was traumatized. And she said she filed a complaint because Cassie didn't include her in that lawsuit. So she said she reached out to Diddy and said, I want my life back. You kidnapped me. And the government and the defense said objection, and the judge said overruled. Was there a discussion for you working back with Diddy? Again, she says yes, as chief of staff. Now, if y'all don't know, chief of staff is KK's position. What her name? Um, what is something Quorum? Christina Quorum. That's KK's position, chief of staff. So I don't know when KK started, but somehow Capricorn Clark was talking to Diddy about getting a position, that position. So I don't know what that was about. The government, they really didn't go into it too deep. So the government asked, when did you last speak to Cassie? She said in 2018. And when did you speak to Kid Cudi last? She said in 2012. No further questions. The judge said break. They went to break because that was very long. You see how long it's been. It's been over an hour. They had Capricorn Clark. She was the only person to testify today, y'all. Like, it was just that long. And she's probably going to be back tomorrow. I'm pretty sure they're not finished with her. So then they come back and the defense, Nafilo, he starts questioning Clark. He says, we met, meaning the defense met with Capricorn Clark, y'all. It's going to get real tricky here, so pay attention, okay? So the defense says, in April 2024, your lawyer name is Brian Friedman. She says, yes. You wanted to work with Diddy, right? She says, we discussed it. Yes. You saw Miss Gergos taking notes. She says, yes. You said you didn't think Cassie was good for Diddy, right? And he says, why? She says, they were toxic. Tell me about when you were in New York City. She said, I was in the Bronx. I hated it. It was 2002. I met Jeanette then, Diddy. She said she met Jeanette first, then Diddy. I don't know who Jeanette is. They didn't get into that. In 2001, the World Trade Center thing happened. Then I met Diddy. He was doing rugs then. The defense asked, was he doing rugs then? He was doing X, but it has gotten worse. You authorized Freeman to seek a job for you, right? She said it was a procedural lawyer to lawyer thing. The defense asked, but you were told you couldn't get a job during the middle of an investigation, right? She says, I don't remember that. So she had met with Diddy's attorneys again. I believe she was trying to get a lawsuit for herself because remember, she had already got a settlement with them. So she knew she probably can get something more because she probably didn't ask for enough when she got that little settlement. Because I believe Suge Knight said she got like $30,000 or some mess. Like, she really went low with it. And she probably kicking herself in the butt because Cassie came real hard. Cassie got a lawyer, and then Cassie ended up, getting millions. Let's see here. The defense asked Capricorn Clark to read something and let him know when she finished. Did you remember saying you had the biggest crush on Diddy? The government said objection. And then they asked for a sidebar. Then they came back. The government asked, you called the, oh, I'm sorry. The defense said, You called Diddy chalk for a chocolate. She said, I did. You started with Def Jam. Run DMC. She says, I don't go back that far. I'm more Foxy Brown, Redline, Jay-Z. So when she said that, y'all, I'm like, ooh, she know all the scoop about Foxy Brown, I bet, and Jay-Z. Because if she around during that time, she heard the rumors, she know what's going on. So that'll be interesting if anything was to come up with Jay-Z and Foxy Brown. We probably hear from Capricorn Clark again because she was around during that time. Oh, but so I guess so the defense asked Capricorn Clark, did she have a crush on Diddy? And it sounded like she did have a crush on Diddy at some point, but they didn't ask when. They didn't tell when she had the crush on Diddy. Because think about it. Diddy is this very powerful dude, okay? He has a lot of pull, a lot of power. Um, in New York City, period, right? So she's working for this man who's so very powerful that can make him sexy. I don't care about anything else. Now they're not telling when she said she had this crush on Diddy. But they just want to put some salt in the game and let you know that, she had a crush on Diddy. She even called him chocolate, which to me is crazy because you could have who wouldn't have a crush on someone strong and powerful until you realize who they really are. So like I said, we don't know when she admitted to having a crush on Diddy, but it looks like she did have a crush on him because remember she made it real clear that they were platonic. They never messed around or anything. But the defense or the government didn't find out when it was that she actually had the crush on Diddy. Let's see here. How did you come to work for Diddy? She said, I put my resume on Monster after the World Trade thing. He asked if I wanted to work for him, and I said maybe. He was acting on Broadway in A Raisin in the Sun, and I was impressed. Do y'all remember when Diddy did that Broadway play, A Raisin in the Sun? I remember that. They actually filmed it as well. So it was it's a play, A Raisin in the Sun. It's the very, like, one of them. I can't stand those types of plays, movies, things like that. But it was a big thing, a big show for the black community, and he did that. And I remember when I saw it because when I saw it, I didn't go to the play to actually see it. I saw it on TV. So they actually filmed it as well. It was on TV. So you probably can Google it, but he had a major part, right? She said he was the star. I shadowed him on Vote or Die campaign. My job was to get t-shirts on celebrities. I would call them and say Puff wanted them to come do a photo shoot. And they would come. She said yes. How long before the missing jury thing? She said about 4 months on the 4th of July. At his white party, she said at his Hampton house, yes. The jewels came up missing after the 4th of July. The jewels were still alone from Jacob the jeweler. Who else got the lie detector? She said Mike B and his stylist, he went to street level of 1440 for manicures. The test was the next day. You never told HR, right? She says, no. I got fired for 3 weeks. How did you get fired? Unfired. How did you get unfired? She said, I worked on his 35th birthday at Cipriani to do the celebrity list. I came back. It was 2004 to 2006. The Defense Act, she says, not at all. As a personal assistant, she says, no, as his liaison. I was making about 65,000 for Diddy then. Then about 90,000 at Jive. So she must have went to work for Jive Records and she started making more there. Why'd you come back to Diddy? I had gotten top records for R. Kelly. Diddy said he was impressed, asked me to come back and work with Sean John Women's line. I think I was really a really good employee for him. He told you were awesome. She said he didn't use that word. You work hard for him. She said I did. Others work hard, right? She says not as hard as me. I did learn a lot from him. He broke the glass ceiling for us black people in the business world. Do you need a minute? Because she was crying at this time. She says, no, it's just complicated. The judge said break. So they went to lunch and they returned back. So the defense continued asking, when you met at the park, it was Tavern on the Green. She said, we parked there early in the day. In the park, we ran into Nas. Now, they didn't get into that either. So, a lot of name dropping, but they wouldn't get into why what happened around this time or anything. So, Capricorn Clark done named Nas. She done named Jay-Z and Foxy Brown. She also named Pharrell. When did you first meet Cassie? I met her with Ryan Leslie. Why did you not get along with Cassie? She says sometimes in 2008, she got more bravado being his girlfriend. The longer it lasted, she thought I was being paid to help her. So Capricorn Clark is pretty much saying that Cassie started thinking that Capricorn Cassie started thinking Capricorn Clark was just there to work for her. And Capricorn Clark was like, she wasn't there to work for Cassie. She was there to work for Diddy. But if Diddy told her to do some stuff for Cassie, then she would do that as well. But she said Cassie, thought that Capricorn Clark was like her assistant or something. She was like, no. But even at that, you see how she's being honest there, and she's telling, she thought I worked for her. I ain't worked for her. I worked for Diddy. But she still helped her out to get that burner phone because Cassie wasn't smart enough to go get a burner phone. She still was, she helped her out when she called her and told Cassie that they were at Kid Cudi's house to make sure, try to save Kid Cudi from this mess. But, so they trying to put some salt in the game here, even though Capricorn Clark said, she didn't work for Cassie. She worked for Diddy, but Cassie had a little attitude about her, but she still tried to help her out, y'all. So she's being honest in telling that. Let's see here. The government said objection. The judge said re-ask the question. So the defense asked, what did you see? She said Cassie went from being a sweet girl to a feisty girlfriend. Do you think she was talented? Capricorn Clark said she had talent and she was beautiful. The defense asked, but not talented. She said, I have good taste. Talented to me is Whitney Houston or Mariah Carey. She was more of a studio musician. She needed things equalized, but she performed live a couple of times, not the greatest, but she was a hard worker at times. Cassie said sometimes she was a hard worker. She preferred to be with her boyfriend. When we moved to LA after Kim had the twins in 2009-ish, I saw her developing more of her relationship with Puff. He supported her. She said yes, with stylists, other musicians, all the components to make her a star. Did she get more help than others? Capricorn Clark said yes. Young Jock and a group from ATL. I developed French Montana. Clark said, I ran into Cassie. She said she had a new deal with Epic. I dressed her like David Bowie. We had a photo shoot at my house. We worked on a mini movie and I shot it for the project? What about Official Girl? She said it was a super cute video. King of Hearts? It was a fresh she said it was a fresh video. Puff liked it. Cassie had a green wig. She says yes. Um we moved to admit this witness, the government said. So I guess the government, I don't know if they had some type of sidebar or something going on, but the government asked during the testimony to remove a witness. So I'm not sure what witness is coming next or what witness the defense maybe want to have to come on the stand next. But the government disagreed with it, and some reason it got brought up during this time here. The government said there is a ceiling issue. So I guess something was supposed to be sealed, maybe with the witness, but it wasn't. So I don't know. The defense asked Clark, "You don't remember this email?" She says, "I don't. Here in 2012, you are setting up a recording session for Cassie. Um, Capricorn Clark says Mario Winans was for the chairman. The defense said for Diddy. She says yes. When did you learn Cassie was dating Kid Cudi? She said in the fall of 2011. I picked her up there. You believe, so that's how she knew the address, Kid Cudi's address, because she picked Cassie up from Kid Cudi's house. Now, why she couldn't get a taxi or 2012. I'm not sure if Ubers were around then, but probably not. I don't think Ubers were a thing. But why she couldn't just get a taxi or something? But anyway, you believe that after Thanksgiving, Cassie and Cudi were what? She says getting to know each other. Why did you get her a burner phone? She said I told her she couldn't do this with the bad boy phone. How did you know about the burner phones? She said, I grew up in LA. In December 2011, Diddy was at an orphanage in Almaty, Kazakhstan. She said, I heard it was Russia. So the defense is trying to make Diddy look like, okay, but he does stuff for the orphanage in Russia or Kazakhstan or whatever. Why he doing stuff for the orphanage there instead of here in America? Now, don't Diddy always talk about how he loved black people and he want to have black people on his payroll and this and that? Why he ain't doing something for black people here in America, but he gonna go to Russia or what is it, Kazakhstan, and do something for an orphanage there, which sounds real crazy y'all by itself. I wouldn't be surprised if we heard some illegal activity going on with, that situation there. Because a lot of times, and this is all alleged, this is my opinion, but a lot of times when those celebrities go across the way to them other countries, to them orphanages and doing stuff for them other children and stuff, usually it's something else going on. Y'all remember Oprah? Oprah had that, or I think she still has the orphanage in Africa or something. But remember, it came out that a lot of those girls in that orphanage or that school, it was a school, not an orphanage. Remember, a lot of those girls were being sexually assaulted. Mm-hmm. Yep. Even somebody even went to jail because of it. Messing with those girls. So I don't know. That right there sounds real crazy, but I see what the defense was doing. They want to try to make Diddy look like a humanitarian. But if you think about it, so Diddy, he goes to wherever, Kazakhstan and or Russia, and he do some stuff with an orphanage, helping some children, let's say. Then he come all the way back to America and beat Cassie behind over some dude. So, I mean, y'all put that into context right there. Make that make sense, okay? How did Diddy get into your building? She said, I was told the security guard got fired. What did he look like? Talking about the security guard. She said he was a black guy, about 35, What was Diddy doing with the pow pow? She said he was waving it around. Where did you change into street clothes? She says, in my closet. Isn't isn't it true? You were you went so Diddy wouldn't do something stupid? She says, no, I went because he didn't care if I didn't want to go. He is a jealous guy. She said he has a bad temper. So see, they trying to make him seem like, he's a jealous guy. This is just a domestic violence case right here, because the defense is trying to make this case seem like this is a domestic violence case, when really it involves a lot of criminal activity, because Diddy is controlling his employees to do a lot of criminal stuff. And he is beating up Cassie and threatening a lot of people, and holding a lot of people jobs hostage, and blacklisting people and all types of stuff. So it gets real deep. Let's see here. So they tried to say, oh, he's just a jealous guy, right? And she's like, no, he has a bad temper. Okay? Because if you think back, he done had a bad temper with everybody who's been on the stand. Let's see here. To the Escalade, did you pass a security guard? She said, I saw him in his little hut once they left her apartment complex. She saw the security guard there in his little hut. So it's not like he wasn't there at all, but he ended up getting fired after that because he probably accepted some money or something and let Diddy in. Was Diddy behind the driver's seat with the pow pow on his lap? You made a call? She says, not then. Remember, Cuddy did testify that his door wasn't locked. We went over that already. Did you look at Cuddy's door to see if they could get through? She said, I wasn't really paying attention. I was I was so in my head trying to plan my next step. I was praying Cuddy wasn't in there. Did Cassie have two rooms? She said Cuddy took her to one room and then she got another room. You were 100% that you called and told them Puff had a pow pow. She says, yes, I said it very quickly. I didn't want Puff to see me on the phone. Did you say Lauren London was on the phone with you, Cassie, and Cuddy? She says, no, only part of the time. So that right there was weird, because I don't remember her saying anything about Lauren London being on the phone with her, Cassie, and Kid Cudi. But at the time, I don't know if they still are or what. But at the time, Lauren London and Capricorn Clark were real tight. And, Diddy did kidnap Capricorn Clark. So it would make sense for her to tell someone that's close to her, where she is, just in case something happened. So it sounds like maybe Capricorn Clark called Lauren London to let her know where she was at and what was going on, because she was scared. She was afraid. Diddy up here with a pow pow threatening to take her life and Cassie's life and Kid Cudi's life. So she don't know what's going to happen. And she has a child that's autistic. So, the only thing she's thinking is, like, this dude is going to hurt me. And she saw how Dee abused Cassie and everything, so she know exactly who she's dealing with. And I'm pretty sure she knows more that she's not even talking about. Let's see here. She said, I wanted someone to know where I was. Did you tell her? She said, I'm scared of mountain. She said, oh, he said, what did you tell her? So Mark Agnifilo asked Capricorn Clark, what did she tell Lauren London? And she said she told her that she was scared of mountain lions. And he said, mountain lions? She said, I don't know if you know, but Hollywood Hills have coyotes. And maybe Lauren London was on the phone. I don't know. She said it was such a long time ago. So she's saying she wasn't sure if Lauren London was on the phone with her, Cassie, and Cuddy at that time, but she do know she told her because Diddy has a reputation of putting you out and making you walk. And so, she's thinking, dag, if he put me out and make me walk, now I gotta walk. It's mountain lions out here, it's coyotes, and she says she's real scared of them. And I don't know if y'all seen coyotes before, but they are huge. Okay, I've seen one before walking down the street, and I didn't know what in the world that was. I thought it was a dog, but it was taller than a dog. And I was like, what in the world? That thing scared me, and I was so far away from it that it didn't even see me when it was just walking, minding its own business. So I understand exactly what she's talking about. Now, I've never seen a mountain lion before, but I've seen a coyote before. And I know those are very scary. So Capricorn Clark, at the time, she's saying she was scared for her life. She didn't think she was going to make it back home. She didn't know. So, she called Cassie, but Cassie wasn't her good friend like that. Cassie thought that Capricorn Clark worked for her. Here go Capricorn Clark going to pick her up from her boyfriend's house, taking her to get a burner phone, trying to save her out of all these situations. And, she up here, she got to think about herself because she has a child. So she said, yeah, she called Lauren London. And I remember hearing that Capricorn Clark and Lauren London were so close that they were even called sisters. And hell, I thought they were sisters for a long time. I just found out that they weren't actually sisters. But Lauren London and Diddy, they got a strange connection too because y'all, this ain't got nothing to do with the case here. But I remember seeing just doing my little research, being nosy, watching videos of Diddy and Cassie, and then Lauren London came into the picture. And when she came into the picture, this was before Lauren London got with Nipsey Hussle. So Lauren London was in the picture before Nipsey Hussle. Then the next thing you know, Nipsey Hussle started working with Diddy to record his album that he had already finished. Okay, Nipsey Hussle was working on an album. He finished it and he let Diddy listen to it. Diddy told him, nah, I can make that better because Diddy is a producer. He said, I can make it better. So he brought Nipsey Hussle into his home and had Nipsey Hussle working under him, like working on his album to improve it and make it better, even though it was already done, y'all. It's videos that's on YouTube about that. Is very strange because right after that music got published, Nipsey Hussle passed away. Mind you, I'm telling you, I don't even think Make It Make Sense. Mims added Nipsey Hussle on Diddy's list of people who came up missing after dealing with him. But yeah, soon as Nipsey Hussle put that music out, he passed away. And what has happened since then? Okay, we know that Nipsey Hussle was with Lauren London. How did they get together? I'm pretty sure it probably was because of Diddy, just like that Faith Evans and Biggie Smalls situation. But that's for another day. I'll talk about that another time because I feel like Diddy has a reputation of putting women with men for a reason, y'all. And anyway, let's get back to it. That has nothing to do with the case, but yeah, let's get back to the case here. So Capricorn Clark said she was scared of mountain lions. She said, I don't know if you know, but Hollywood Hills has coyotes. She wasn't quite sure when Lauren London was on the phone. The defense asks, are you sure that Lauren London and Diddy were friends? Or are you aware that Lauren London and Diddy were friends? And she says yes. Then they skip to something else, okay? They get back to the Kid Cudi thing. So then the defense asks, then you see the Porsche coming up the hill. She says, yes, he stopped next to us. Then he sped off. He probably sped off because he saw the guns. And it was just him by himself. Because remember, Kid Cudi testified and said that when he was on his way back to his house, he thought about it and said, it's not smart for me to go there by myself. So he called the police. So she said that, so the defense asked, you saw the Porsche coming up the hill? She says, yes. He stopped next to us and then he sped off. And then we chased him. She said, we lost him and when he turned away, and then the police came and passed us. You go to pick up Cassie. Where you pick him up at? She says, she's the defense asks, so then you went to pick up Cassie? She says yes. And then we went back to Kid Cudi's house. Um there was the ADT guy or the ADT people there. So remember, Kid Cudi testified and said that his security system wasn't working and he wasn't sure what was going on with that. So I guess once he called the police, he probably called the ADT people too to get that get that system set up. Ain't no telling how long it wasn't working, but it wasn't working. And when they went back to his house to try to get the talk Kid Cudi in out of, filing a police report, they went there and they saw the ADT people there. Then you go to Diddy's house. So they left there. They didn't stop there at Kid Cudi's house. They left, went back to Diddy's house. That's when Diddy started beating on Cassie. And you say you saw Diddy kicking Cassie. She says yes. You hung up on the fire inspector. She says yes. When you were on vacation, it was with who? She said she was on vacation with Rihanna. Here we go with another name drop. Okay. So Rihanna know a lot about what's going on in this situation too, because I'm pretty sure Capricorn Clark done fill her in on all of it. After you were fired, what job did you get? She says, I was hired by Chris Lighty to work with 50 Cent. Here you wrote one day you'll forgive Diddy. Anyways, be well. So she wrote somehow, I don't know if it was a text message, an email, a letter, I don't know. But it sounds like Capricorn Clark was just trying to get her job back because she has a child. She doesn't have family. You're about to hear that part. And she just need her job back. She says everywhere she goes to apply for a job, no one will hire her. So let's get into it. So she wrote him a letter. Sound like it reminds me of Cassie when Cassie would text Diddy and say, "Oh, I want to freak off." You know, that was the only way Cassie was getting paid, y'all. Cassie didn't have a place. She didn't have a car of her own. She didn't even have a cell phone of her own. Okay, she didn't even have money like that. Diddy gave her everything that she needed, so she had to depend on him for everything. And it was hard to, as you could tell, she ain't come out with another album. So I don't know what happened with her and Epic. That probably was just the front for Diddy to get her back or something, because we know he'll do stuff like that. But it sounded like Capricorn Clark was really just trying to get her job back, because she's testified, earlier, saying that she just needed to get her life back in order and get back on track because she had nothing. So she says yes. Then they said you wrote February 28th, 2015 that you gave that the grace period to be mad at me has surpassed the agreed time. And she said LOL. And she wrote that to Diddy, trying to get her job back because nobody else will hire her. She says, yes, sir. The defense asked Clark to read something. She says, I wrote, she was never my friend. She wanted me gone, I realized. Did you think Cassie wanted you gone? She says, sorry. I felt that I was Puff's protector, crying. She said, I felt I was the only one going through this stuff with her, and she was still there, and things were getting worse. I tried to keep professionalism as my goal. So she pretty much was kissing up to Diddy, just trying to get his attention, to get him to put her back on payroll. So she even said, I'm not Cassie's friend. Like, please take me back. She says it was the move, it was to move the ball forward to the goal to inspire. So boy, I tell you, it's sad to me, but I can understand where she's coming from. Being a single parent with the autistic child, trying to get your job back because you can't get a job nowhere else. You're applying for jobs and no one's calling you back. Like, I can't even imagine the thought in my head. She doesn't have a place to stay. She doesn't have a car. I'm pretty sure she doesn't have that cell phone because all that was Diddy's. She has an autistic child, y'all. She's just trying to get a job. She tried to get a job elsewhere. She couldn't. So then here she goes begging Diddy for a job. She said, they asked the defense asked, did it hurt that he wouldn't take you back because Cassie was there? She says, yes, I have no parents. My son is autistic. The stakes are higher, sir. Talking to the defense, she's like crying her heart out, like trying to get them to understand she's a grown woman, a single parent with an autistic child, not just a regular child, y'all, an autistic child, okay? No house, no car, no money, no one will hire her. She said of course, she had to beg for her job back. Where else was she going to go? And she said when she worked hard. She worked very hard. The defense asked to talk to the government on a sidebar. So they had a sidebar. They came back. You did a lot of great work with Cassie from 2016 to 2017, right? She says, I believe so. Cassie had addiction problems. She says, yes. You made a short movie with her called Love a Loser. She says, yes. You wrote to him asking for forgiveness. She said, I wanted my life back, my dream, my competency. When you met with when you met with him, when you met with me, you still wanted to work with him. So again, Capricorn Clark met with the defense in April of 2024. So I'm not sure what really was going on there. She met with them with her lawyer. So I believe she was trying to get a case going against Diddy, or and the defense was probably trying to talk to her about getting her job back. So they probably did that on purpose, to make it look like, oh, you still want to be with him, working with him, right? So it sounds like Capricorn Clark wanted to file a lawsuit against Diddy, and it seemed like the defense was really trying to talk her into maybe possibly wanting her job back, because every time they would ask her, the last time we spoke, you wanted your job back, right? She said it was discussed, as if it wasn't her idea, but they brought it up and discussed it as if it was something that could actually happen. So that's the mind games that they played with her, because they know how desperate she was. Let's see here. Oh, and then they said no further questions. So then the government comes back and asks, how much was Diddy required to pay you? The judge said a sidebar. So now the judge asking for a sidebar, because it probably would have got into that settlement offer that Diddy paid her, which I don't believe that was much. That's why she had in April 2024. Now remember, Diddy house got raided in March of 2024. March, April. Right. So at the time, so around that time when Diddy's house got raided, then he probably already knew, that the case was coming about. And then here goes Capricorn Clark trying to get another settlement or something, because Diddy done blacklisted her and now she can't get a job. He won't hire her back. His defense is saying, oh, well, if you it would be okay if you work back with him, right? And she's like, yeah, I could work back with him. Like, I need a job, you know? And so they pretty much just playing those little games with her. But let's see here. So the government come back, and then the government get real messy with it to stop the defense in their trail, because I bet you the government know about the Chris Lighty situation and 50 Cent, okay? I bet they know. So then they come back. What happened with the job with Chris Lighty? She said he died as soon as she was, right before she was supposed to start, y'all. She said he died the day before she was supposed to start. Then at Interscope, they told her to leave Puff alone. So she was trying to get a job at Interscope Records, and they told her, nah, you need to leave Puff alone first before we hire you. Then the defense said, objection, of course. The judge said, sustain. It was black. She said, I was blacklisted. The defense said, objection. And the judge said sustain. The government asked, why did you return to work for Diddy? She said, so people could see I wasn't disposable at this level of business. He held all the power. Why did you give him, why did why did you meet with them? She said to get my life back. So she said she met with Diddy and his lawyers to get her life back so she can get her job back. Nobody was hiring her. She says, oh, the government asked, during the kidnapping, did Diddy hold a pow pow? She says yes. The judge said to the jurors, I know I kept y'all long enough, because the court went over today. So that was pretty much the end of today's testimony. And then I'm pretty sure she'll be back tomorrow for the government to proceed with the questioning and the defense to come back and cross-examine her. But that was all the testimony that she gave here. The defense had asked, that was the last question, and the last couple questions they asked, why did you meet with Diddy? She said to get her life back, because she probably was doing real good, you know, got an apartment, got a nice apartment with a security guard, okay, so no one can get access, you know, you up here living in this upscale, high class apartment, you got a car, you work for Diddy, the most powerful person in New York City, and at that time in LA as well. And then he fired you, then you're blacklisted, no one will hire you, and you have nothing, no house. Okay, she says she has no family, so she has an autistic child. I wonder where she went after she got put out her house and lost her car. She didn't even have a car. No car, probably no money. Got an autistic child. Who's going to take care of that autistic child? Okay, you can't get a regular babysitter to take care of an autistic child. You have to have a special babysitter for that, because autistic children and people are a lot to deal with. So, you know, I felt like Capricorn Clark's testimony was very real and very realistic. Like, I understand why she begged for her job back. You know, being a single mom, no help, no family to help you. Cassie had family. Cassie had her mom, her dad, she had a brother. You know, she had support. She could have just went back home and stayed with her family, but she didn't want to do that. You know, plus the fact that she was an addict too. You know, Diddy got her on all those rugs. So then she couldn't just go back and stay with her family and be all doped up on them rugs. So then she ended up getting with Alex, her husband now. And he helped her out because she couldn't go back home to her parents. You know, how's she gonna live a normal life there? They're not gonna understand everything that she's going through. You know, it'd be hard for her family to support her in that way. They'll be trying to, lock her away somewhere. So, it's really sad what Diddy has caused for these people and their lives. Like, held so many people hostage. He's controlled so many people careers and livelihoods. Like, just listening to Capricorn Clark, and I like the fact that she was honest and she said, "No, Cassie, she had talent, but she wasn't talented because she ain't lying. Cassie ain't no Mariah Carey or no Whitney Houston, not at all, y'all. Like, that song is Me and You. That was a nice song, but very basic, okay? And I understand how those music companies, they make a celebrity or they make a superstar. You hear those songs all the time that's not really good. They don't, the singer doesn't have a real range, it's real flat, but they'll put, like she said, equalize it and make it a whole lot better. Even though Cassie wasn't great, she wasn't the best, Capricorn Clark still helped her out. You can't deny that. Even though Capricorn Clark was very honest and said that Cassie wasn't that talented. She was pretty. She was a very beautiful girl. She admitted that, which is true. Okay? That's true. She is beautiful. More than she's talented. I don't mean no harm, but that is so true. you know so I like the fact that she came with her honest statement, just being real and honest, and also saying that you know she just wanted her job back. Like, she did her work good. She was in her element there. Nobody else would give her a chance after Diddy. And he even told her that she wasn't going to get a job anywhere. He even told her that he was going to make her delete herself, y'all. How hurtful is that? That girl ain't got nothing. But the music industry, they usually do that. A lot of times you hear about the artists not really having family or coming from like a very hard lifestyle, like growing up in the hood or something, or not having family, being alone. And then they get with these music companies and these producers and stuff, and then they just attach themselves to them and think of them as God because they're their saviors. And then after them, what do they have? Nothing. So, how do y'all feel about Capricorn Clark's testimony today? It was very long. I'm pretty sure the judge is not going to let it be too long tomorrow, as well, because he did question the defense when they were going on and on, asking questions that seemed like to just be a waste of time, because that's what they want to do, just waste the time. But he asked the judge asked the defense, like, how much longer we have here. So yeah, I'm pretty sure tomorrow they're not going to have her on as long. She's probably not going to be on there that long. But because this judge, he does not play, and I like that about him. Even though they keep having those sidebars and we're not privy to what's going on during them little side conversations, he does make them wrap things up real quick. And like I told you, I'm not sure if Cassie has already had her baby, but she did go into labor around 1 o'clock p.m. today. So yeah, she probably already had her baby and welcomed her baby girl here into the world. So I'm not sure when Alex is going to go on trial, because he's scheduled to testify as well. So yeah, today was deep. It was real heartbreaking. It was sad to hear a real life story of someone who just trying to work, and then she's caught up in this mess, in this madness, and it's like, where else can she go? Have you ever been blacklisted? Have you ever had an artist that you liked and appreciated, and then the next thing you know, you ain't hear from them no more? Probably because they were blacklisted, which happened to a lot of Diddy's artists. Okay, think about all the artists that he's come across that have made some very good music, but you don't hear from them no more. A lot of them die broke. Hell, even Mary J. Blige said she was homeless a number of times. Okay, she said she was broke, sleeping on someone's couch, on her friend's couch. Meanwhile, Diddy up here collecting all these people um their music, their rights and stuff to the music and their money like he did with Biggie. And it's so crazy, like the nerve of him to, because I know he has something to do with taking Biggie out. And then he has a huge picture of Biggie Smalls in his house, and he celebrates Biggie's birthday as if he didn't take this man out or have anything to do with taking this man out. Like, that's crazy to me. But that just tell you what type of person Diddy is. Like I said, today's testimony, I felt like it showed Capricorn Clark being a real person. Her and that other personal assistant, the guy who said that he left because of how Diddy was beating up Cassie and kicking her and hitting her all the time. He said he left the company because of that, and still sent Diddy a invitation to his wedding. Sounds like these people just want to work. That's it. They want to work, but then they got to deal with all this other madness that's going on, you know. But yeah, that's my opinion. I didn't want to make this long, and it's super long here. Thank you so much for watching. Um, my footage here, my content. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel. Give me a thumbs up. If you haven't heard what happened today anywhere else, you could definitely get the information here. I plan on doing the coverage for as long as this trial lasts. So make sure you guys tune in, hit that subscribe button. Click on the bell so you can be notified every time I go live. I know this live was extremely long, but thank you for holding it in there. Thank you to my mods, Chris, and my new mod. What's my new mod name? Cooper. Cooper VR. Thank you so much for handling the chat for me. I appreciate that. Make sure you guys subscribe, and I'll be back with another one. All right, peace.